What up, G-Life? It's your boy, MC Shut Up. I catch you with another video. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe to the channel and share if possible because it does help out my channel. Now, I was asked, by one of my subscribers about, are gang members psychopaths or narcissists and stuff like that? Which category do they fall under? Now, there's a difference between psychopath, sociopath, and narcissist. And gangs are full of all three of them. You know what I mean? Just like any other group, just like law enforcement, doctors, lawyers, heck, individuals in themselves, people in themselves. What creates these problems? Personality disorders. Personality disorders are created, although there is theories that they're created, that people are born this way, through genetics. I have my own theory. Well, not just my own theory, but, there is other theories out there. I personally, from the research and the information that I've gathered and everything, my theory is that it has to do with your upbringing, because there is different ways of raising somebody that creates these disorders. I'll give one for an example. Like a narcissist or a very needy person, right? The ones that create scenarios that demand attention. I'm pretty sure you have met people whose kids are always, little kids are always doing stuff they're not supposed to be doing. They don't listen. They're always creating, some kind of, chaos. The reason why this child behaves in that manner is that when you have neglection, right? When the parent is not acknowledging the child, where the child feels like the parent's not paying attention to him, it creates this window, right? Where let's say if the kid is let's say the kid is about to run into the middle of the street, right? And then the parent runs out there, hey, no, what are you doing? So the kid starts to realize that the only way the kid could get the parent's attention is if it starts to do things that it's not supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Because he starts to feel like that's the only way to get the parent's attention, that's their way of communicating. Right? Like that's the only way the parent is going to come and show any type of affection or acknowledgement to the child. So that's why the kid starts doing stuff that is not supposed to be doing, because he knows that the parent's going to come and acknowledge it. So it becomes a relationship. It becomes like a game that they play. The kid feels like that's the bond that they have, that's the way that, the parent finally comes and shows the child love. You know what I mean? As if it's doing something that it's not supposed to be doing, because that's the only time that they're being paid attention to. You get what I'm saying? So as they grow up, they feel like this type of behavior is normal, right? So as they grow up, psychologically wise, they're not able to see it, but they start creating scenarios because they feel, if that's the way that I was able to get my parents' attention, then I must create scenarios like this in order to get everybody else's attention. That is how they think attention is demand, and they see it like as normal behavior because they've been doing it, since an adolescence. That they start to think that the behavior is normal. They're not able to separate the two from reality. You know what I mean? Because it becomes a norm. That's stuff that people don't understand. The brain is a very powerful thing, very powerful. It could make people hallucinate. It could make people think a whole lot of stuff. The brain is very sensitive and very powerful. Don't get it twisted. You know what I mean? You see how crazy it gets when you even start dreaming, right? The brain is always working. The brain is very powerful. You know what I mean? And sensitive at the same time. Too much stress could create nervous breakdown. You see people have psychotic episodes and stuff like that, or PTSD and all of that. Those are I'm telling you, the brain is a lot more complex than people think. So a lot of pressure, a lot of stress and everything. That's why people say to don't stress yourself, because all of that does create damage. It starts killing brain cells. It starts becoming harder to create, to control certain scenarios, right? What's real and what's not, your decision makings, addictions, dopamine, all of that becomes a factor. Now, so there's different behaviors depending on the uprising, in my theory, because I don't believe in that is genetically, that way. Because if you look at all the research behind individuals that commit crimes or do things that they're not supposed to do. Their childhoods have always been relatable. You know what I mean? They have always had some kind of psychological trauma to it. See, the reason why people think that it's that is genetically, and don't look at the uprising facts of it, is because in some cases that they look at it, they see that the individual comes from a perfect background where the parents weren't abusive, the parents weren't alcoholics or gang members or drug addicts or none of that. But see, what they care to miss out is that they're always working, so it's a form of neglection, and neglection is going to create some form of psychological trauma. But see, they don't piece that together because they just see that the family's financially stable, the both parents are hardworking, have good jobs and degrees and everything like that. So they feel like, oh no, see, then that is not. It has nothing to do with the way that they're raised. But see, what they carelessly, fail to always realize is that yes, they're always working, they have good jobs, always at work. The child is being neglected. That's going to create some form of psychological stress to the child. Your job is more important than me. Yes, I know your job always comes first. I never get to spend time or any type of bonding with my parents. It's always the babysitters or the whatever, you know what I mean? So there's no relationship there. That's why you see a lot of rich people, their children are drug addicts. You see them getting arrested for DUIs and all kinds of crazy shit, and they're rebels and rebel. And it's like, people are like, what the hell's wrong with them? They act like they have it so hard, man. They have money and everything like that. But what you don't understand is they have no bond with their parents. The parents are always, working and caring about money and their jobs and everything, neglecting the child. So the child feels like, money and all of this is more important than them. So they just start not giving a fuck. So like I said, money doesn't solve problems, you know what I mean? If anything, it starts to create them. Anywho, that's for a different day. So you're gonna get different personas, right? And same with gang members. So you're gonna have some sociopaths, some narcissists, some psychopaths, you know what I mean? Within the mix of the chaos, it's like a gumbo. The one that people should look after more than not is more of the sociopaths, because obviously narcissists, you can spot a narcissist from a mile away. A narcissist cares about his image, cares about him. His story has to be the best story. He's always flossing and flashing, and he's always the best at everything. He's the best fighter, the best cook, the best, the best at picking up women, the best, in sex, the best in everything. He's the best of the best. If you tell a story, a narcissist is gonna tell a story similar to yours, but just a little bit better, dog. Narcissist doesn't like to be, overshadowed. He must be the one that people recognize. He demands attention, the spotlight, the works. Yeah, a full-blown diva is what a narcissist. A sociopath is a little bit different. A sociopath is very sneaky, very conniving. A sociopath doesn't care about being in the spotlight, doesn't care about a sociopath only cares about what could he get out of it. You know what I mean? Now, it's very easy to spot a sociopath. They think that they can't be spotted, but it's very easy to spot a sociopath, just like you can spot a narcissist. A narcissist is always talking about himself and how good looking, how he's the best at everything. You can spot a narcissist from a full-blown mile away. See, since they have personality disorders, they themselves can't see their flaws, but others could, that are able to recognize them. A sociopath is very easy to spot. A sociopath is going to be somebody that's firme, somebody that's going to be cool as hell, man. This guy is cool as hell. But see, a sociopath always tends to talk shit about everybody else. Like, let's say he's cool with you, right? Or his inner circle. But he's always talking smack about, all these different individuals. Always hating on this individual for that, like, oh, yeah, but I bet you that fool's a woo-woo. A sociopath's always talking shit about everybody. But, like, let's say he's cool with you. Here's a word of advice. If somebody's really cool as fuck with you but talks shit about everybody else, then you should watch out for that person, because when you're not around, I guarantee you he's doing it to you. A sociopath doesn't care about friends. He has no friends. Sociopath only cares about his and his only. That's it. You know what I mean? Sociopaths tend to live double lives, because a sociopath See, a psychopath has the same tendencies as a sociopath. Not all narcissists are sociopaths, but all sociopaths are narcissists, and etc. So they all have characteristics. What separates them, right? Narcissist is all about himself, and that's why they tend to always snitch and everything like that. Because if it doesn't benefit them, they're throwing the towel. Same with a sociopath. A sociopath has the same flaws. A sociopath will never speak how he feels about the scenarios, how put his foot down and assert himself. He's a chicken. He'll voice his opinions through any means, right? Like he'll tell somebody else to tell, like let's say if they want to talk about one person, he'll get another person to say this stuff to them. Or now in nowadays age, they'll create fake profiles and stuff like that to speak what they really want to say, but they won't say it showing their actual physical self, because they're not really, they hate confrontation. They're not really about the business. That's why they create all these fake, stuff like that. You see it happen to NBA players and stuff like that. People, you seen Kevin Durant made a fake account and everything to speak his mind. It happens like that. You know what I mean? They think that they're tough, but in reality, they're not. See, a psychopath is different. A psychopath doesn't give a fuck. A psychopath's going to tell you exactly how he feels. A psychopath feels nothing, so he'll let you know how he feels. He's not going to hide from nobody, and those are the ones that, you see a lot of homies that are like that too. They just don't give a fuck about nothing. They'll go out there and cameras rolling it. They just don't give a fuck, dog. Those are the psychopaths. Sociopath is always stirring up the mess and everything, but likes to be sneaky about it, staying behind the scenes. He likes to route up the crowd, but implement himself out. While a narcissist is the one that, no, I demand that people know that I'm the one that created this problem. No, it was me, But then when he gets confronted, you see that when shit starts to really get rough, and now it's not fun no more, he's gonna throw in the towel. You know what I mean? Because they only care about themselves. Narcissists and sociopath have that in common, because they do share characteristics. Now, some people think that they're full-blown psychopaths or so. No, they're not. There's people that have psychopath tendencies or sociopath tendencies, or narcissist tendencies. Because I was diagnosed at one point with sociopath tendencies, which I myself, debate on that. I think that that counselor just disliked me. I think she had a vendetta against gang members, and just you know what I'm saying. But because they could be biased on the diagnostics. Some people just they themselves can't see their own egos. You know what I mean? Because a sociopath and a narcissist have that thing in common. They think that they're right. They think that the way they view life must be the way that everyone has to view life, and has to if they could build the world, they would, because they think that they could build the perfect world, the way people should actually behave. They feel like their demeanor and their views are the right views, because they can't see that they have these personality disorders. Same with gang members, want to do whatever the hell they want, because they feel like their way of living is the right way of living. They're lost in the illusions. But the thing is that while people want to criticize gang members, there's people that are sociopath and narcissists. You can tell, because they're the ones that refuse. All three groups will refuse to come to the table, refuse to sit down and actually talk about stuff, will refuse to acknowledge the other group, or give them any kind of credit. If you're out there, and if somebody's disagreeing with you, right, and they're what they're saying actually makes logical sense, but you refuse to see it, or you refuse to say something nice about the other side, or anything like that, then you have narcissistic tendencies or sociopath tendencies, personality disorders. If you can't tell people how you really feel, like face to face and stuff like that, then you have narcissistic or sociopath tendencies. Like some homies do. You know what I mean? Some homies have other homies do the dirt for them. You know what I mean? They just know how to talk. That's one thing that narcissists and sociopaths have in common. They have a good mouth. They know how to convince people. They know how to use their tongue. One thing is for sure: a narcissist and a sociopath, or vice versa, that have these personality disorders, they're not gonna like each other. They're not gonna like each other. They're always gonna be talking shit about each other because it's a fight to see who's the top dog, who's really right. So you're never gonna be able to get a sociopath and narcissist to actually like each other. They're gonna dislike each other. You know what I mean? Because they refuse to give any type of credit to any other side that they feel goes against their points of views and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Kind of like with gang members and their enemies and stuff like that. That's why some of the homies can't let go and stuff like that, because they suffer from these, personality disorders due to the fact of how they're uprise. That's why I tell people, as a parent, don't ever tell your kid that you're a fucking idiot. You can't do nothing right. You don't know anything. You can't, with their homework or anything like that. Like, how the fuck do you get there? Like, man, you're so stupid. Those are things that a parent should never tell his child. You're their role model, their idol. Never tell your kid that he's an idiot, stupid, doesn't know shit. Don't ever tell them that kind of stuff, man. You don't understand how much pain that causes or how deep those words actually go through. Now, he knows I was just mad. He knows, I just said it in the when I was mad. Or he knows that I really love him. I was just playing. Doesn't fucking matter. No, they don't that. No, they don't know that. They might tell you that, no, no, I know you were just mad at her. But in reality, deep down inside, they're feeling some other type of way that they're not gonna tell you, because you made them feel anything beneath and low than that. Those are things that a child should never hear coming out of the mouth of their parents. That's real talk. But that's just my opinion. You know what I mean? Careful how you raise these kids, what you tell them, because words could impact you know what I mean? Devastatingly, because the way you raise your child's gonna paint their whole entire persona forward. You know what I mean? How they behave around others, and how they express themselves is gonna do to how you yourself express your feelings and behavior towards the child. And if it was negative, and if you're negative or aggressive or anything like that, then that child is most likely going to grow up with some form of personality disorder, psychological, trauma. That is the reason why you see in the world, especially in the time of the internet, how a lot of people out there don't know how to behave, or can't get along, or just think nonsense, because people don't really understand what it is to be a parent, or don't want to be a parent, or don't really step up to be a parent. They feel like it's a game. That's your child right there. Don't toy with his emotions. You know what I mean? It's not good. I'm just saying, Shadow, we out.